This episode is for you. I know that's a bold statement because I don't know who you are watching this right now, but this episode is about so many things. I interview Lauren Donato, who's one of the therapists at the Center for Family Building, and she has been through it all. So you will learn about single parenthood, gay parenthood, finding your partner, IVF, IUI, moving to donor conception, moving to donor embryos, how you deal with loss, how you deal with recovery, how you deal with partnership, so many things she will share with us, and you will meet her beautiful family and discover how she built her family in her own way. So tune in. I think you're really going to love this episode. Welcome to Building Your Family. This is a podcast about donor conception, fertility treatment, surrogacy, and all the ways the modern family is built. My name is Lisa Schumann. I'm your host. I'm a therapist, a researcher, an author, and I am so pleased to be here with you today because we have a guest that is going to entertain you and give you so many good feelings because she gives me good feelings all the time. Her name is Lauren Donato, and she's a member of the Center for Family Building team. She's a fantastic therapist and has been with me since day one. I rely on her for so much. And today I'm going to rely on her and later her family to tell us a little bit about her family building journey because it's so interesting and will give you some insight into many other ways to think about your family building journey. So I won't say any more. I wanted to introduce Lauren. So Lauren, so nice to have you here and thank you for coming.
Hi, Lisa. Great. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Lauren, tell us a little bit about. I know obviously you're a therapist. I introduced you as being one of the therapists on our team, and you live with your wife and kids, but it hasn't always been this kind of cohesive picture. For many years, things were kind of a little bit more disjointed. When I met you, you were in a very busy job and you were single, and your life was very different than it is now. So can you bring us back and tell us a little bit about that evolution? Because I think that the audience will find it really interesting.
Yeah, sure. I mean, sometimes I have to even just pinch myself and think like, how did I get here? Is this happening? Even I speak to my friends and family and my clients about things being surreal, and we often share the same experiences. My clients and I about things being surreal once you get kind of to the other side. But yeah, so I'll be 44 in a few months. I started my family building when I was 35. So about 9 years ago. I have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old now, and I am married. But like you said, it has not been like that for a while. So when I was in my early 30s, my mom was in my ear about freezing my eggs. I was very happily single. I had a great career that I loved. I worked with people with developmental disabilities in group homes. It was my dream job, really exciting. I learned something new every day, worked with great people, worked many hours, had a great social life. And my mom often spoke to me about freezing my eggs. I spoke with my doctors often, and they said, "You're so young, you're 32, you're 33, everything is fine." At my annual GYN appointment when I was 35 years old, I had a different GYN that came in as part of their practice. And I said again, "Do you think, like, is there any sort of test? Like, should I be worried? I'm not like looking to settle down anytime soon, but I know I want to be a mom." And she said, "Actually, there's this test. I'm not too sure about it, but it's called an AMH test. And I'll be happy to run it for you." I was like, okay. So I got the results back like maybe a week or two later. And she says, "Your results are very low. It's 0.17." She's like, "I don't even know if that's good or bad. I have no experience with this. So I'm going to send you to a reproductive endocrinologist." I was like, okay. So went to Google. Spoiler alert, it's bad.
Yes.
Not good to be low. I was like, great, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to freeze my eggs. That was the beginning of my journey. I went to go freeze my eggs, and I had one egg. That is not a good number to freeze your eggs, even though I was young, 35, youngish in the fertility world. And they said, if you want to be a mom, you should consider becoming a mom now. You're not going to freeze one egg and have good chances when you're ready to become a mom. So I decided to become a single mother by choice. I knew I wanted to be a mom, and then started my journey. Started with IUIs, thinking everything's going to be great. I'm 35. I have a regular cycle. And then, 6 IUIs later, switched clinics, did another IUI, started taking a bunch of supplements, started getting into the community and the research, and just started piling things on: acupuncture, supplements, medications. And then I decided to take the plunge and do IVF. We're already pretty expensive. Sperm is pretty expensive. IUIs are, get up there if you're doing it every month. It's kind of taken over my life at this point. So I thought. And about a year, when I was about 36, started doing IVF, and just started going, month after month. And I was doing retrievals, one egg at a time. So I would do a retrieval, would fertilize, do a transfer, do a retrieval, fertilize, or a transfer.
My gosh.
So month after month, the meds were piling on, holistic things were piling on, the complementary alternative medicines and procedures are piling on. Then medical procedures, surgeries. Next thing I know, I'm, every day doing something fertility related. I am missing out on life. Years have passed, and I'm just going down this rabbit hole. I'm taking 50 pills a day, spending every dollar I had 2 jobs now, moved into my parents' house to save money.
Wow.
And, it was about 20 plus cycles of retrievals.
Wow.
I did.
20 cycles.
Then I started thinking about using an egg donor. Couldn't even bring myself to think about it or talk about it.
That was really difficult, right?
It was very, very difficult for me to even think about it or consider it. It was helpful for me while I was going through it to get my plan B and plan C in order, but really not thinking that I'm going to ever have to use it, really not coming to terms with it, but nice to have a backup. So I started researching donor eggs, and I just really couldn't find it financially to be able to do it. And then somebody told me about an embryo donation, a clinic that has a wait list about a year long for embryos. So I said, you know what? I'm single. I need the egg. I need the sperm. Let's just do it. I've already gone through maybe like 4 or 5 sperm donors at this point. That to me, it's just like the genetics look good. Let's do it.
So you've already said, I'm going to be a single mom by choice. So I'm not in the partnership that maybe I wanted to start. Then you're saying, okay, I'm going through fertility treatment after fertility treatment. So you really want to be a mom. And then on top of that, things are not looking good. So you finally say, I really should consider donor eggs. And that was so difficult to say, okay, now this is the last piece. Now I'm losing my own genetics now. And I think most people out there can certainly empathize with how difficult that transition is, particularly after you've been doing so much and already felt like you were giving up so much, right? Income, doing it alone, all of that. And so you finally said, okay, I'm going to use donor eggs, but then it seems so cost prohibitive that donor embryos seemed to make more sense. Is that right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. There was significant grief. I've never felt the darkness I felt with every pivot and every shift in this journey. It wasn't just like, okay, let me go to the next thing. Let me go to the next thing. It was very difficult to decide to do this on my own, not have the life that I've imagined or expected, or the family that I've always thought about since I'm a little girl. That was lots of grief, and then having to do IVF, and then having to, like you said, all the money and all the things that are going into it. But yeah, so then the final straw was my genetics, which I'm not too sure why. At this point, my genetics are terrible. Sorry, mom and dad and the rest of my family, but my genetics aren't that great.
Yeah.
But it's just something that we've always just thought about, and it's hard to shift and to zoom out and to gain different perspective, and especially going down this path for so long to shift and to go in a different direction is just,
it's devastating. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually got the embryos while I was still cycling with my own eggs, and it brought an interesting dynamic as well, because these embryos, I was on this wait list, and if I didn't accept them, it would go to the next person on the wait list. And
Oh,
I still had hope for my eggs. Don't know why, but I still had hope for my eggs. And I had to make a decision in 3 days. Am I going to take these embryos, or am I going to let the next person who's already grieved and have accepted and moved on the chance to build their family? And I did choose to have those embryos, and I kept them in the freezer for about a year before I was ready to use them.
and what then caused you to say, okay, so I'm going to take the embryos. I'm going to have, so you transfer them to your clinic, had them frozen there. And then you said, okay, this is my backup plan. I'm still going to use my eggs. And then what made you say, okay, I'm going to close that door and move to the donor embryos?
A few interesting things happened. So let me start with the most interesting thing that maybe somebody could relate to, and something I would never have thought would happen. I started going to appointments wishing I had no follicles. I just
Wow.
wanted this to be over. So
Wow.
I was going to appointment after appointment for a year, month after month, year after year, just praying one, maybe two follicles I was going to have, and just like, oh, did they grow? Is it good? Is this my golden egg? And some shift started happening, and I was like, please, I hope my body is just done. I hope, like, just please just stop making this one follicle every month. For about 2 or 3 cycles, I was relieved. My body just started not even producing anything, even high dose
Wow.
meds, low dose meds.
It just gave up.
Yes. And of course, I mean, PRP was a big thing then. There was other things that I could have done that,
Hmm.
maybe would give me that one follicle to keep me going. And maybe a year or two before, maybe I was just like, all right, let me go to the next thing. But I was ready. I was at that point, and that's what I talk to about a lot of people. Something will happen when that grieving is taking a turn where whether you're physically, mentally, emotionally, financially spent, and you're ready to just move forward and just have that baby in your arms and just be through with this chapter of your life. So
Mm.
that started happening. But along the same lines, I had those embryos in the freezer. I started reading about epigenetics, and I started dating someone that I actually enjoyed spending time with.
And how did you guys meet?
We met online
Oh.
on a dating website. And dating when you're trying to conceive is an interesting thing. It's like on date one, like, do you like children? Do you like kids? Because I might be pregnant right now. Or do you like kids? Because I'm having one, hopefully having one soon. I'm trying to make one right now. On our first date, I did injections. We had to go in her car.
Wow.
I was like,
Oh my
do you
gosh.
want? So, so it's an interesting thing. I was ready, and I was happy my body failed me one last time. It helped me move forward.
So your body said, we're going to close that door now ahead of you. That's incredible.
Yep.
And what made you, I'm wondering, Lauren, what made you decide? Because fertility treatment is so consuming. And when you're pursuing single parenthood, people often say, oh my God, I can't even think about dating now. What made you decide to date while you were going through all this?
I don't think it was really that stressful for me after a few months of just like when I think about what I went through, it seems daunting. But while you're in it, it's just, you're doing it. I just continued to date, just, because I always kept in the back of my mind, I'm not sure if I'll ever meet somebody, if it'll be, dating for fun. I actually was dating for fun.
Wow.
I wasn't thinking that I was going to be in a relationship. Then I also thought, on the other hand, maybe I will meet somebody, because maybe I'm never going to have a child. So things just don't turn out as we hope or we expect. So I just decided to just continue dating. And I could write a whole book about those experiences, but
Wow.
people say interesting things. It's difficult to be the partner or dating somebody going through infertility.
Yes, absolutely. But it's so interesting. So you just said something very interesting because people, I think, very often say that when they're going through fertility treatment, when treatment after treatment after treatment fails, we know that donor eggs and donor embryos do give us a better chance of success than our own eggs if our own eggs are not working. And yet, because that's our experience of having the failure of using our own eggs, we assume that failure is going to continue. Like we may use donor eggs or donor embryos and still have trouble. So that's, I think, natural what people feel, even though you have a much higher chance of success. And I guess you knew that in the back of your mind, but you still felt very worried about it, that maybe I'm not going to have kids. And so I need to kind of think about those possibilities too.
Those fears came to fruition because my story is only half over once I moved to donor embryos.
Okay.
So I met someone, we were dating. She had no desire to have her own genetic children, which was like interesting because I was like, if we're ever together, if I ever have children, these are my children, they're not going to be your children. That's an interesting thing about going into, I pivoted so much to be a single mother that if this would ever happen, I had a very hard time at the thought of sharing these children with anyone else. So we could save that for a whole other podcast, Lisa.
Yes.
But she didn't want any of her genetic children. She never even thought that she would ever have it. She just always assumed, her vision from a young person was just my wife is going to have her eggs. So that's how she always imagined her life. So she had no desire to do an egg retrieval, even though her AMH is like 4. I was like,
wow,
do you know how many eggs you have?
How unfair.
Yeah, all those wasted eggs. And she's 4 years younger than me. So I was like, all those young wasted eggs sitting there. But she also, opened my mind a little because she's like, I'm jealous of the person who would be carrying my children. She thought that that's where
the attachment would be.
The attachment and the connection would be. And mine was through genetics. So I'm like, neither one of us are right. Neither one of us are wrong. But it just shows that it's a state of mind. It's just a thought. So that also got me thinking. So we moved forward. We were living together now. I still told her, these are my kids. I obtained these embryos before I even knew you. These are my kids. I don't know where we're gonna wind up. Just think of it that you met me and I had kids already. Because I do have kids. They're in the freezer. They can sit in the freezer for a bit. And she was so patient with me throughout this whole thing, putting her thoughts and emotions. She couldn't get excited about any prospects of having children or being considered her children and all of the things I was going through, spending money and time. So she was very patient. And I decided, yes, let's do this. I'm going to use the donor embryo. I have 5 of them, by the way.
Wow.
So I got 5 embryos from the same lot, the same batch, donated to me anonymously through a clinic. I transferred it and I was pregnant.
Wow.
I was like, wow, I should have done this so long ago. This is so easy. Very high HCG. It doubled. And then I bled and went to the emergency room and the HCG was like 20. It dropped from the thousands to 20. All right. So biochemical pregnancy, they said I just couldn't believe it. My worst fear, like, is it my body? Was it my eggs this whole time? What is happening? So got back right on the next month, did it again, pregnant. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is amazing. Okay. Then the double, it didn't rise appropriately. And then it did rise appropriately. I was kind of in this beta hell for a while. And then it went down. Another biochemical pregnancy. So what is going on? I pumped the brakes there, started going to all the different specialists that I had, in my back pocket. So reproductive immunologist. I did a laparoscopy for exploratory for endometriosis. Found out I did have endometriosis. Never knew. So I had the laparoscopy surgery. I went to a clinic in California for immunology. They found some stuff. The more tests you do, the more stuff you're going to find.
Yeah, sure.
I was down. This was like this is the end of, this is my last plant. And I have 3 embryos left. Moved my embryos to a clinic that I love and adore, that I did most of my fertility treatments with when I could afford. I would go back and forth when, funds were running very low. So I moved them to that clinic and had my transfer on March 15th, 2020. Now, if everybody remembers, March 15th, 2020 was the first day all elective procedures shut down, were canceled due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
And I had done a surgery to prepare for it. I did very expensive IVIG infusions, and I was ready to go. Luckily, my clinic was independently run. I think if it was affiliated with a hospital, I think those shut down. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but the doctors are like, no, we're still doing this. Okay. So it's the beginning of COVID. Long story short, I got pregnant with my son. I bled my whole first trimester.
Oh my gosh.
Wasn't able to go to the emergency room. It's the beginning of COVID. My doctor just had me come in every day. They were so good to me. And the state of the world was in panic, and I was in panic. And everything worked out beautifully. And I gave birth to my first
I can't
son.
even imagine. That's when we were washing our groceries, right? I mean,
yes,
that was like a crazy time. Oh my gosh. And, for all of you out there, I think that it's really helpful to hear this too, because very often people do bleed certainly in the first trimester, and everyone's terrified that that's going to mean the end of the pregnancy, but it doesn't always mean that. So you discovered that, and were you on bed rest?
I wasn't on bed rest. I did have a hematoma. Some doctors put people on bed rest. My doctor did not want me on bed rest. He just said, just continue doing what you're doing. Blood is, like you said, is not anything to, be scared of all the time, and come in whenever you want. And you better believe every day I said, can I come in? Can I come in? So I was there every morning for the first
Oh my gosh.
so, just to calm my nerves, just to get get it checked.
That's unbelievable.
And he was growing. It was unbelievable.
So now you have baby number one, and you're in the middle of a pandemic. You had to deliver, I guess, in the middle of the pandemic also, which was a whole nother story and a crazy time. And then how did you get to the place where you said, okay, I want to go back and do this all over again and have another baby?
I loved it. I just loved those times. It was special times, scary times to give birth during a pandemic, but also special to have that time to nest and kind of be alone with your baby. The next year, I was like, we have 2 more embryos left. I always wanted at least 2 children. So we're like, I'm not getting any younger. This is the time. Oh, we got married when I was 6 months pregnant.
Wow. Yeah.
I said, okay, now this is our children, our child.
Now you can have a part of. Now you can have a part in this whole thing.
I'm sold. I think we're okay. I think this is going to be okay. And we just decided to go for the second. So I did the same exact protocol and got pregnant. My first transfer.
That's incredible.
I gave birth at 43 with my 1-year-old.
Oh my gosh, what a story, Lauren. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then I actually acquired 1 more embryo. I have 3 more left. We found their donor siblings on Facebook.
Wow.
She also received 5 embryos from the same batch, and she had 1 embryo left. And she said, "I'm done. Do you want my embryo?" And I said, "Yeah." So we have 3 more in the freezer. I think I'm done. No, I'm done to be ready to pay it forward and donate these embryos to another family.
So you asked for the other one because you thought you might have a third child, and having 1 embryo felt like it wasn't enough. Was that your feeling?
For a few reasons. First, I'm still not 100%. I don't want a third. I think I'm 100%, but I still only had 1, and I had 3 embryos left, and I wasn't sure if that was enough to give me my second child.
Mm.
And if it was, maybe I would have wanted a third. And I love the idea that they're both 100% genetically related. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
So just for everyone out there, I just have a little side note to add, because there's so much mystery around epigenetics, and I'm certainly not saying this from a scientific point of view, but it is interesting how there's so much influence your uterus has over the pregnancy, that I just wanted to interject a cute little story that Lauren has webbed toes, and so does her children.
I didn't know that I told you this.
Yes, you told me that. So it makes you think, well, is that just coincidence? It could be, but maybe also the embryo was kind of looking for similarities and maybe it just connected to that trait because that was a similarity. We don't know, but just an interesting side note from in this whole amazing story. So,
Yes.
so you have these two kids. Now you're married. You say, okay, I'm ready to kind of stop potentially. And you're thinking maybe you would donate the embryos. You said you'd like to pay it forward. You'd like to maybe do that.
Yes, I would love to. My wife, you could talk to her if you want to ask her, but she's not 100%, but she does give me the ability to just, make the end decision.
Hmm.
She respects my journey to this point. She knows that while she empathizes and while she was a part of like this much of it, because she came out on the tail end, she does, understand. And I'm part of this community. It's my career. She does know that that would be something important to me
Hmm.
that I would want to. Obviously, we're going to have conversations, her and I, about it. She feels it'll complicate situations more for our children. They already have two other donor siblings that we know of, and then the original donating couple have two or three children, minimally at least two. My wife doesn't think the more the merrier, so and that's okay. So I would love to donate it. She's kind of on the fence, but
I see.
I think I'm gonna win that argument.
So, Lauren, these embryos came to you through an anonymous program, and you said you found this other family on Facebook. How were you able to do that?
It was very weird. So I was leaving for like long European trip and I got this call and it was supposed to be a year waiting list and it was like 4 month waiting list. And I was a little shocked because I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm still using my eggs. Like this is my plan
Hmm.
C.
Hmm.
Like I'm not ready for
Yeah.
it. But they're like, you have 3 days. And I didn't do any of my research yet. You have 3 days to decide. And I'm like, well, I'm leaving for Europe tomorrow. I need to get, some of the funds together that, for the FDA, you had to put some money down, even though it was a donation. And I had to make this decision. And I actually posted on Facebook. I didn't do any of my research about donor embryos or anything. And it's not like I was able to pick. They have a list of people who are donating their embryos. They have a list of embryos, and then they have a list of people who want them. And it's just like I'm next on the list, and these are next on the list, and
And that's
and I
it.
was just and I was just like, hold on, and I looked, and it was like everything that I was always looking for. So I only got information on the donors. So I didn't get their whole family history. I just knew that the donors' physical characteristics and health history, and then like occupation and things like that. They had the physical characteristics I always wanted: dark hair, dark eyes, olive complexion. It helped that they were both one was a pharmacist, the other one was an engineer. They were from European descent, some Italian in them like me, and they were giving me five. And I was like, is this too good to pass up? Or is this like kind of a normal good thing? Like it's more than a decent match. There's five of them. Like, is this too good to give up? Or is this like a common thing? I had no idea. So I wrote on Facebook exactly what I just said. I just got a call from this clinic. They have five embryos, blah, blah, blah. They're this, they're that. Like, is this normal? And of course, everybody's like, you better take them. I got some naysay by saying, like, if you're not ready to use them, that's selfish of you, which I did have to quickly process and decide. But I described the embryos and the situation. Somebody else got the same call with the same batch of embryos that day
Wow.
on that clinic's website for the other five embryos. And she saved my post on that clinic's Facebook page. A year
Wow.
later, she contacted me and said, hey, just curious, do you have any kids? Did you take those embryos and do you have any kids? I'm like, who are you? Like, what are you asking? She's like, because I have the same embryos. And I didn't even think that there would be more embryos. I don't know
You're
why. I thought
right.
I got the
Well,
last
it's a
five.
lot. Yeah.
I know. So we compared paperwork. It was the same number. It was like donor 128A, 128B, but it was clearly the same. It was the same
Yeah.
paperwork. And she found me like a year after, just asking if I
What a
had.
story. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they live in Florida. We FaceTime, we talk.
So nice.
Well, we'll meet up. We'll meet up one day. She has 2 boys. I have 2 boys. They're each about a year apart. They know about each other.
How nice.
Side note, my kids look like my wife,
Oh my
100%,
gosh.
and her
Wow.
family. And another side note, my kids came out very light blonde hair.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm sure in the family is light eyes and light hair.
The universe wanted Sammy to be involved in this family.
Oh, yeah, we get it all the time.
Yes.
People try not to be nosy, and they're like, did you use her eggs? I'm like, you would think they look just like her and her family.
That's amazing. The next question I have to ask you is about disclosing to your children. So you don't know a lot about the donors, and you said you'd like to meet them one day, and certainly you want to meet the other donors and the donor siblings. How are you feeling about this whole story? Because there's only so much you can share to your children. So, how have you pieced that together? How have you started to share it? Are you and Sammy on the same page about that? And what's your experience been?
So Sammy and I are on the same page. She let me
Great.
take the lead with that, luckily, since
Mm-hmm.
I learned from the best, Lisa
Oh,
Schumann, on
thank you.
disclosure.
Thank you.
So we started telling them young and often from day one,
Great.
for when they were born. Both of my kids know that it takes 3 things to make a baby, and you need a boy part and a girl part, and an oven to bake it in. And your mommy and your mama needed the boy part, and we needed a girl part because mommy didn't have the girl part. And nice people called donors helped us and gave us the parts that we needed. And
Hmm.
isn't that nice that there's people that help us when we need things? And they mixed the parts together, the boy part and the girl part, and they gave it to the doctor, and the doctor put you in my belly, and you grew and grew and grew. And
Nice.
my son he's 3 now, 3.5. He started preschool this year, and luckily we read this book to him a lot to learn
Mm-hmm.
about how all families are different. Some families have 2 mamas. Some families, have are different colors. They eat different things. And I also add in some families have a donor, and they also read that in school. So
Wow.
he knew the book when they read it. I got a call from the teacher because he was telling them that during family day that he has a mommy, a mama, and a donut. So so a little tidbit when you're teaching your children about their origins, make sure you enunciate and don't have a Brooklyn accent like me, because for the first 3 years of his life, 2.5 years, he thought I was telling him a donut. Put him in, put him in my belly. So now I make sure it's a donor. But he jokes
That's
about it now. When
hysterical.
today's actually National Donut Day, so I should have taken him for that. But yeah, so the teacher's like, what does he mean by that? He has a donut? And I was like, a donut? And then I was like, it
Oh
must be
my
a
God,
donor.
that's hysterical. That's hysterical. Oh my gosh.
I'm just happy to have planted the seed. That was really my only goal, for them to know that there are people outside of our family that were involved in creating him. We still talk about it, maybe not every day anymore, or and I want him, as he grows older and he matures, to, I'm sure he's going to have some more sophisticated questions or thoughts about it. But right now, as expected, both my kids are just like, yeah, and so what? Does it
It's just
matter?
part of their life. That's
Yes,
wonderful. That's so great.
yes.
And speaking of that, Lauren, you mentioned that you would be willing to introduce your family to all of us. So we would love to meet them if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that would be great. Let me go and get them. I'll be right back.
Okay, so here we are, all of you, except for Preston, the baby. I think he's doing his own thing, but so nice to meet you guys. So introduce me to yourselves and your family.
So this is my wonderful wife, Sammy,
Hi, Sammy.
and this is Franklin.
Hi, Franklin. So I was just looking at Franklin's shirt. I love Toy Story. It's so fantastic. So I think he's my type of guy. He's got Andy and Woody and all these characters on his shirt. I love so much. So you're definitely my type of guy. And I hear that you have such a great story about your family.
Mommy,
What do you
Mama,
say?
Preston, and a donut?
Oh, that's great. I love that, Franklin. I love that, Franklin. So you love your family so much. It's so nice, and that you know so much about your family. That's really hard information to understand, but you seem like a really smart guy, and it's incredible that you know all of this stuff. Do you know how you were made?
I don't me in your belly.
Oh, a doctor put you in my belly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you grew in your mom's belly, which is amazing to know that. Sammy, it's so nice to meet you. I heard about your beautiful family and how all of you developed into this gorgeous family, and that you have been so open about bringing in these children and developing these stories that you probably didn't know a lot about. Lauren probably had to explain to you how the disclosure issues are best brought up with children and how this whole process works. Was probably a lot to digest.
It definitely was, yes.
Hmm.
It was a mind change going into the whole thing.
Hmm.
You changed my mind and I changed your mind.
Pretty
About a lot
much,
of
yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
So, Sammy, you had to learn so much. You had to learn about fertility treatment and donor embryos and disclosure to children and how to raise donor conceived children and all the issues around contact with other people. And so, do you feel comfortable with it all now?
Oh, yes,
Are
definitely.
you feeling
I
like,
still have stuff that I learned every day. But yeah, no, it was a lot, and I'm definitely much more comfortable with the situation.
oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on your beautiful family. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. And Sammy, it's really amazing that you've been able to take on so much. It's a lot for all of us who are going through treatment. But being an outsider, having to kind of go through it all is a whole nother ball game. And one day we can talk about that. But for now, I want to just say thank you. And Franklin, I know it's not easy to be here, but I really appreciate you being here. And Lauren, thank you for your description of your story. I think it'll help so many people. And is there any place that people can reach out to you if people have questions or thoughts about your journey, things that they'd like to know?
Yes, definitely. Feel free to reach out to me at Lauren Donato, LaurenDonato, LMHC@gmail.com.
Okay, terrific. And you can also find Lauren at the Center for Family Building at our website is familybuilding.net. You can find her bio. She is a fantastic therapist. She does counseling and screening and runs groups and does all sorts of things for us. And I'm so glad to see her and her beautiful family here. So thank you, all of you, for coming tonight. And thank you for being here. Please hit subscribe if you like this episode and come back next time because we have lots more for you. Hi, it's Lisa Schumann. I hope that you enjoyed that video and I hope it helped you. And if it did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe because that's how we keep going. It's really important to us. And if you liked it, you might like this one.